Hello and welcome to the third episode of the Joe Martin podcast. Today I'm here with Nicole. So can you give an introduction to yourself?
Hi everybody, my name is Nicole Dublado. I sing, I speak, and I also talk a little bit about money.
Mm-hmm. So we first met up, I saw you on Instagram first. Someone, I don't know who it was, they shared your story and you were singing. I'm like, oh my God, this person has a beautiful voice. And you got to talk with this person because, I was barely networking with musicians. And we started talking a little bit, and then we met up at a coffee shop, and you started explaining to me like your financial background. Mm-hmm. How did you get into like the financial, like your work basically?
Well, at first I didn't like money. I think I told you a little bit about this. I wasn't really into money. I just basically got to the job because it was something that I wanted to do. I needed money basically, and it was just a job that was there. The opportunity was there, and I was like, okay, let me take it. Let me just try it out and see how it goes. But mostly, the reason why I decided to go that route instead of something else is because I was really pushed into the medical field. Yeah. Like my whole family was like really pushing me to be a dentist at this point, and I was a physical therapy major, and I think it was my junior year of college where I was just like, I was in a class, and I remember myself sitting in that class because there was a PowerPoint in front of me, and I was just thinking, Nicole, I don't like any of this. I was like, I can't do this for the rest of my life. I can't be in the medical field for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. And so the segue to finance was because I wanted to be a speaker. I wanted to be a motivational speaker at the time. Yeah. And I thought, you know what, the best way to be there is to be a life coach, because I help people one-on-one, and then eventually I work my way up, because if I help enough people, then eventually I can speak about it and I could talk about my experiences, and then I'll have like real proof from that. And so that basically didn't go well. This was like
so what you're doing right now is the second thing, like not your first endeavor into financial education.
Yeah, this was my first venture into just being an entrepreneur and trying to figure out my own life outside of the medical field. And like with inexperience, without anything, you don't know what you're doing. And so I thought, let me try to get a coach. Got a coach. Did not go well. Lost a bunch of money. Didn't do anything with it.
Could you say how much, more or less, like a ballpark amount of how much you lost?
5 digits.
5 digits?
5 digits.
Oh, shit.
5 digits of money. Did not go well. And did I have that money?
Yeah.
No.
So then how did you, was it credit card debt, or how did you loans?
Credit card debt. Credit card debt. Yeah, it was really bad. I got into a lot of credit card debt just to try to, because they sell you the dream. They're like, oh, this is what you can do. Because they were very, I'm not going to say names, but they were very good at what they were doing. They had they had the check mark right next to their name. So I was like, okay,
they know what they're doing.
You know what you're doing. You can help me figure out what I'm doing. Come to figure out that, when it comes to entrepreneurship, a lot of it is on you. Yeah. And also at that time, I was not in a good place mentally, just because I was trying to get away from my family and also try to figure this out on my own. So it was a lot of imposter syndrome. I can't do this. And then there's people in my ear telling me I can't do this, because it was my first venture and all that stuff.
No, that makes sense. Because you guys do get pressured, specifically in the Filipino community. It happens where you get pushed into the medical field a lot. Yeah. Is there a reason for that? Because one question I always have when I work, because I work at Home Depot, and I meet a lot of different types of people, and my question is what was your journey from where you came from, your country of origins to into the valley? Because the valley is so separate from Dallas, Austin, San Antonio. We're far away from those areas. Yeah. How was that? What was that kind of journey?
That's a really good question, actually. And I think a lot of people don't understand this when it comes to the Filipino culture. Yeah. Is because the Philippines is a third world country. Mm-hmm. Completely different from America. Bathrooms, you use a little tub to wash your private areas. There's sometimes
people can relate to that here because whenever we go to Mexico, my family would have my dad's family would have a bucket, they'll fill up in the shower, and then you use a cup, and
that's how you shower. And then sometimes you would have to even at the malls you would have to pay for toilet paper
refills.
You have to pay to use the bathroom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's how it was maybe 10 plus years ago. I don't know how it is now. I know things are developing there, but for you to leave the Philippines and come to America, the only way out was to be a nurse or to be a doctor, to be in the medical field, because at this time it was the early 2000s. They were recruiting a lot of people to be in the hospitals. And so specifically here in the Valley, a lot of the recruits were from my parents' hospital in the city. So everybody that came here from the Philippines, they went to the same college, they went to the same high school because they were all nurses.
Because they're from the same area.
They were from the same area. And so they had basically had a sponsorship for them to come over here and be in America, and then of course like live, you know, the American dream. And I was 3 when I came here, and so for them it was the only way out. You know, it was the only way out of a third world country and to come to America. You know, American dream, under the free, home of the brave, and all that stuff.
It's the Valley story.
Yeah. And so from that perspective, I understand why they would push me to be in the medical field, because that's all they know. Yeah,
and there's good money in it too as well.
There is good money in it. But at the end of the day, I did see their lifestyle, and it's like 12 hours, you know, every single 3 to 4 days a week. It's 12 hours, sometimes 24 hours.
So like that seems like not being able to see your kids that much. And
yeah, like you don't see your family, you don't see your kids. I mean, the best thing about it is like, you know, when it comes to money, you can't go on vacation. So that's where we would spend time together. But at the end of the day, like, you know, like the daily conversations, the daily, you know, talks, it's kind of hard to keep up. Yeah, it was rare, and it was hard to keep up with because, like, you know, in the medical field, you deal with a lot with death. And you deal a lot with like pain and suffering and all that stuff. So it's kind of, I wouldn't expect you to talk to a 3-year-old about, like, you know. Yeah.
Like came from work and this person, let me tell you about this person dying and their family mourning over them.
Yeah, let me tell you about how I didn't do something right. Like, you know what I mean?
And that was just the opening, not the rest of the shift.
I know, exactly. So it's hard. It's a hard field to talk about. 2, you can see why they would want me to push it in it, because that's how they got out of a third world country.
And they want the best for you. Yeah. Whether or not like it's exactly what you want to do, but like that's their best. That's their intention at least.
Yeah, exactly. And I understand that. And it's like, okay, yes, because that's all you know. I understand that's why you would push me that way. But because we are in America, because we are in the land of the free, home of the brave, there's more opportunities out there, and there's more ways for you to make money and for you to, you know, impact your community. You don't have to be in a 12-hour, 24-hour shifts every single day in order for you to be successful. And something that we're coming to find out now is that nurses, like the pay is starting to go down now that COVID is not to, like, I've heard, don't quote me on this.
Because the only thing I've been hearing about was like nurses traveling around because they get like a lot more money compared to just staying in one area.
Yeah, travel nurses, yes, they make a lot of money because, you know, with COVID, they have to send people out. But I've heard, don't quote me, I've heard.
Do your own fact check.
Like, please don't fact check me. I've heard that.
Fact
check me. Don't believe me. Sorry. That's on me.
Right.
But I've heard that the pay for if you decide to stay in a city is starting to go down because, you know, like there's more nurses.
Yeah, there's more nurses. So like eventually the money goes down. So like spreading out that, that makes sense.
So, I mean, to me, like money going down, you still have to work the same hours. Like that's not. Plus, I cannot deal with death. I'm too emotional to deal with with any type of hurt, any type of pain. Like I know people are saying online, "Oh, I'm an empath," but I really do believe.
Oh yeah, it's been really common on Twitter.
Yeah, I know. Everybody's like, "I'm an empath. I'm an empath." But no, like for real. Like if I see somebody cry, like I'm crying too. I don't even know why you're crying.
And you can't be doing that.
But like I can't do that if I'm supposed to be the one that's helping you and supporting you and be your back. No. Not me. Because
like with me, like it's becoming a really common thing where I see like younger kids saying like, oh, like we don't really talk with our families like during dinner.
Yeah.
And kids are like, oh no, like we don't talk with our family. Like we all go to our own separate rooms. And I'm like, what? Because in my family, like on Sundays it's tradition. After church we eat at my grandpa's. Yeah. We have our dinner there. Yeah. But then like when we're at our own house, like by ourselves with my mom and my sister, like we always have dinner together. We always talking. We put away our phones and say like, hey, this is our time together.
Yes. So
like when you're saying that the 12-hour shifts and all that stuff, I'm like, oof, I don't know how.
It's hard. And we did have dinners together at the time. Things are shifting now because like they've gotten into, well, my mom upgraded and my dad also upgraded from like just a regular nurse. And so they have more time to be at home. They're there like regular, like 9 to 6, 9 to 5. So it's been a lot better as far as time. But I mean, at the end of the day, it was tough as a kid. You don't understand those things. You don't understand what's going on. You kind of just, and for me, 10 years.
How did it make you feel though? Like dealing with that, like not being able to see your parents as much, or like.
It was tough because, I mean, as a kid, I didn't speak.
Yeah.
I was like very quiet. I was very to myself. And it's hard to understand it because I was very latched on to my parents. And I don't know, like I don't think I felt lonely because I was just in my own world in my head. And
you probably got used to it after a while too.
Yeah, you get used to it after a while, but then when you go into the real world, you're like, I need to talk to people.
Yeah,
like, I can't just be in my head. I can't just, have conversations in my head. That's not how life works. And I guess that's what started me on that whole journey of learning how to speak and learning how to talk to people, and then of course eventually like aspiring to be a speaker, because speaking skills, I feel like, especially moving forward into the world, is going to be something that a lot of people are going to try to do more of, especially because...
Can you move the mic? I think you're like twisting it all over.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wait, did you have it correct or no?
No, I did
not.
No,
you didn't. Yeah, because I saw the audio level going down. I'm like, that's not normal.
I'm sorry. I move a lot, so please tell me when that happens. Okay, Audio Technica. I'll keep that.
Keep that in mind. Yeah, because I saw your fingers keep twisting. I'm like, she's fidgeting.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Where did I go?
You were talking about how you were dealing with your family, like not being able to see them a lot. Like started to have like a greedy imagination, and eventually you started becoming more social.
Yeah, started getting more social, and I think moving forward, because like everybody's so into social media, technology, social skills are gonna be
really important.
Really, really, really bad in the future.
Oh yeah, that's what I feel like. That was one of my biggest fears, because not only with social media, but like also like COVID, like I was reading some articles that like babies are getting like negatively affected because they're not able to see like people's mouths. Yeah. And so like when it comes to your expressions and all that stuff, like they learn by seeing other people. Yeah. And if you have a mask, I mean, that really like that affects their ability to like recognize emotions and a bunch of other stuff.
Yes. And so that's why I do think speaking is going to be a big thing in the future, and hopefully I want to be a part of that movement, because for me it was like that. I feel like that's my whole life, like learning how to speak and learning how to converse with people one-on-one. And then of course, like now that I'm teaching classes and doing all these things, I have to learn to network, and I have to learn to talk to people.
You're making up for lost years of not speaking.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now you talk a lot.
I know, I talk a lot.
Just messing with you.
No, it's true, and it's kind of weird to see that and see that growth, especially knowing from where I came from. When I started speaking, it was just like a 2-second conversation. I'll say something, and then they'd look at me and be like, okay, and then walk away.
That's awful.
Like, so that's where I started, and to be where I am now, to hold a conversation, it's absolutely crazy.
What made you realize that you were too quiet for your own good?
So when I was a kid, I was just by myself, right? And it wasn't until I got this neighbor who was like my best friend. She came to school with me in, I believe, like 5th grade, elementary school, and she was a very outgoing person. And I mean, I always kind of had the same friends in my life. And I noticed that like she was making friends with my friends, and then she was making more friends, and then making more friends and making more friends. And I was like,
how are you doing that?
What? What's going on? Like, why am I not doing the same thing? And so I was like, learning, the best way to learn is to mimic. So I would like try to learn, try to mimic, but when it comes to conversation, she would just be there talking, and I'd be like, yeah, right? Like, hey, yeah.
You're becoming the yes person.
Yes, I was the yes person. And that's kind of how I started like learning how to talk to people, because like I would see what she was doing, and then I tried to mimic it, and then I tried to come up with my own. I mean,
did you ever go through like some kind of like mistakes when you're doing that, like, oh, she did this, but like why didn't it work when I'm doing it?
Oh yeah, all the time. Well, I would just try to handle conversations the same way that she did. Yeah. And then it would just get cut short. And I'm just like, what the heck is wrong with me? Why am I not holding these conversations at the same length? Because I thought I was doing the same thing. And so that transitioned into where I was able to stay with her from 5th grade all the way to middle school. And then from there, she moved to a whole nother state. And I was just like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And so I was learning from her through those like 3 years, trying to understand. And then so finally comes to my freshman year of high school, I tried doing the same things. Did not work well for me, and I tried to keep the same friends, it did not work well.
It's because like you start changing friend groups between middle school and high school. Like after that, like people go through their own different classes. Some people have different interests, and it just goes apart. Yeah,
it goes apart, but I didn't understand it. I thought it was all me. I thought it was like, oh, maybe because I can't speak, because I can't. It's my fault, and that's where I was like, okay, well, I got to learn how to do this. And so thankfully in my sophomore year, my dad was like, hey, we're gonna move to New Jersey.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So originally were you in the Philippines, or you were here?
No, I was here in the Valley.
So you moved from here to New Jersey.
Yeah. Okay. I moved to New Jersey because my dad was going to school at that time, and we were going to be there for 3 years. So that's like the rest of my high school.
That's the rest of high school.
That's the rest of my high school. And so for me, I was like, Nicole, this is your coming of age movie moment. Like on my driveway, all the way.
This is the whole Karate Kid going from one area from New Jersey to California, but you from Texas to New Jersey.
Yeah, and I was like, I can't be that person again. I can't be that person that was like super awkward, super socially like weird. I need to learn how to do it. Yeah. And so finally, like on my first day of school, like my one goal was to make one friend. Like that was it. I was like, we got to start small. I'm not going to say that I'm going to be the most popular girl in the school, but we got to start small. And so there was this one instance where I was in study hall and I saw a girl on my bus, and I was like, oh, maybe like we can be friends. Like we went on the bus together this morning. Hopefully she saw me. I saw her. And so in study hall, it's a really, really big cafeteria. And I was like already sat down. Yeah. And she was already sat down on the other end of the cafeteria. So
it's perfect. It just lined up perfectly.
Yeah. But then again, I had to get up to go talk to her.
Yeah.
And like, you have a time limit whenever it comes to like before you are situated in a seat.
Oh, okay.
And so I was thinking to myself, like, okay, Nicole, in the next minute you have to get up and you have to go say hi. And that's it. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't do it because, like, my fear, you know, like, my anxiety was
that's social anxiety.
Like, what if she says no? What if she doesn't know me? And, like, I have to walk all the way back to the other side.
And people are going to be looking at you like, who's this person?
Like, why is she just walking back and forth? And so I was like, oh, okay. And then the next minute passed. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go get up and say hi. I'm going to go get up, walk over and say hi. And the next minute passed. And then we're like, I'm going to get up and go over, say hi. And then the bell rings, and then everybody's like has to be situated in their seats. And I was like, dang, like I wanted to talk to her so bad. But then a miracle happens, and everybody says, oh, hey, because in that school is a really big school. Yeah. We're in the wrong study hall, so everybody needs to get up and move over to the other cafeteria. And I was like, oh my god, this is my chance.
This is your chance to like, hey, let me go talk to her.
Yeah, we're already moving seats. Oh, sorry, I hit it.
It's all right.
I said, we're already moving seats. We're already on the way to like everybody switching and moving and all that stuff. So I was like, okay, this is my chance. Mm-hmm. So I was like kind of stalking her, like probably not in a way, because I was like, I need to know where she sits so that I can sit with her, you know? So I watch and I see where she sits, and I finally was like, okay, this is like my miracle. This is my miracle. I need to go sit down to her and say hi. So I finally like sit down, and I was like, hi, I think we're on the same bus. And she was like, hi. I was like, oh, good to see you. Yeah, I saw you this morning. And then like that was my first friend.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, because that story, the way you're explaining that story could have gone both ways. Either you're a stalker or you're a friend. Yeah. That's what I'm like.
You're probably like, why is she stalking her? She's so weird. Yeah, but it's okay. No. You learn.
Have you kept in touch with her or no? Or?
Yeah, I keep in touch with her here and there. We just like message on Instagram. Yeah. You know, especially like when I was doing my life coaching thing, she actually reached out to me. I was like, hey, like, I just want to see, like, this is what I'm going through, if you can help me. And like, I was like, yeah. So I did help her a little bit. I didn't charge her because it just didn't feel right yet, especially because, like, I just started and I wasn't sure if it was going to go well. Plus, she was a friend. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it feels good because you're doing business with friends. It kind of feels kind of bad because you're like, you're my friend, but, like.
Yeah. And especially when it comes to life coaching, because, like, you're basically paying, basically paying you to talk to them. Like it's kind of like therapy in a way, but not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah, but you're charging them.
Yeah.
What kind of friend are you?
I know, I'm horrible.
And then you mentioned when we were talking that when you were in New Jersey, you became part of Lifetime, or what was it?
I started singing.
Yeah, you started singing.
So I mean, as a kid, I kind of sang here and there, but like it wasn't until I got to New Jersey because I went to Med High. They didn't have any electives other than art and. You're
an absolute nerd.
Theater.
I'm tired of this.
I know.
I talked to Paolo and I talked to you. You guys are nerds.
But yeah, so like I took my opportunity in New Jersey to like do anything and everything. Yeah. So they had choir, they had cooking, they had like so many things. I even tried out for volleyball, which I'm not even like good at. I did the tryouts. Oh my goodness, I did the tryouts and I was like, I'm so good. I think they're going to get me. And then I walk out of the room like all stiff and I'm like, oh my God, my body hurts. Because it did not go well. I didn't get on the volleyball team. Let's just leave it at that. But But anyway, so I got into choir.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I really like singing. And then they did this a cappella group. And at this time, Pentatonics was really big. Have you heard of them?
Yeah, I heard of them.
Yeah, so they're like
they're really popular.
Yeah, they're a really good a cappella group. And I was like, oh, that'd be cool, like, to be in an a cappella group like that, like Pentatonics. And so I auditioned to be in the special group, because in a cappella, you have a certain number of people that you need. So if you're good, you can audition and then get in. So then I got in, and from there, we just competed all around New Jersey. And it wasn't really until my senior year. Is this what you were talking about, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't until my senior year where we were doing our competitions again, and some guy approached my teacher and was like, hey, by the way, you guys were listed as the #1 competitors for all these a cappella groups.
Oh, shit.
And we were just like, what? Like, what's going on? And he was like, yeah, so, like, would you guys want to be on a television show? Mm-hmm. And we were like, what? And, like, you're in high school, and I was, like, a senior, and I was like,
be on
what? Be on TV? And they were like, yeah, it's going to be on Lifetime, and it's going to be, like a docu-series. That's what they call it. It's, like, a documentary, but it's, like, over a period of time. And we were like, yeah, so it was, like, cool, sure, I would love to. And so we had all these, like, different a cappella groups audition, and then they asked us to audition. We had to go through, like, a psychology test. We had to go through, like, the singing test. Yeah, it was like a 374 question test.
Do you remember, like, any of the questions they asked you, like, when it came to that? Yeah, specifically.
Well, it was a lot about, like, mental stuff. So I'm thinking they were trying to see if, like, we were all crazy or not, especially because we were, like, in high school. But it was, like, just different variations of, like, different mental, like, how would you classify yourself? Things like that.
Is there, like, one specific one where, like, wait, what? What does it mean by that?
No, honestly, no. Because it was, like, 375 questions. So I was like,
I need to get out of there, yeah.
I got to study for my math test. I can't, like... I can't answer all of these, like, super, super specifically. Yeah. But yeah, it was super cool. So then after the whole trial period, we ended up finding out that we were one of the groups that got chosen, and another group that got chosen to be a part of the TV show. And it was super cool. It was really fun. Yeah. It's
crazy. And then you mentioned that the guy had to do something with Pitch Perfect, or what did you say?
Oh, yes. So one of the guys so each one of us had a coach, a new coach. And our coach was Deke Sharon. He was the guy who actually did all the a cappella arrangements for the Bellas on Pitch Perfect. Yeah, he's the one that taught them how to sing together as a cappella group. He came up with the arrangement and, like, worked with them personally. So super, super cool to be working with him, because I don't know, it kind of just changed my whole world about, like, a cappella, because everything comes from your mouth. Like, your mouth is your instrument. So we're making, like, super weird sounds. Like, we had what's it called, like, we had some people do the flute, like a trumpet, and he taught us how to do all those
what was
things.
Your instrument?
It's so funny because I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but I'll say it because it's really funny. Yeah, because there's this one day where he sat us all down. He was like, what kind of sounds can you guys make with your mouth? And I had friends that were really cool. They're like, oh, I got a trumpet. Like, I can do a flute. Like, I can do, like, we had some beatboxers. So they got really cool sounds. And I was like, I can do a platypus.
What?
Like, a platypus. So, like,
oh, my God.
Yeah, it was not good. It was not good. That one wasn't good anyways. It was like a...
What the fuck?
And then he was like, oh, okay. And I got a different sound. We didn't use that sound. What did you go with? I can't remember. No, I think I stuck with, like, singing the a cappella. Not the background sounds, but I sung, like,
I thought you were finding,
like, ooh-ah, like the ooh-ahs. Yeah.
I thought you meant, like, you're finding a sound you can make, like, an instrument so you can go to that, like, vocal range or something like that.
No, well, kind of, because, like, well, you have to sound like a production on your own. And so some people are singing oohs and ahs, and other people are doing, like, background noises, and instruments. And I had this really cool girl. She was doing like a trumpet sound. Oh my goodness, wild. It was so cool. It was so cool. But yeah, that was my very embarrassing story. And now that I hear it back, I'm like, okay, I should not have done that. That's not good. It wasn't a good sound.
It's funny. And how was the experience like being part of the show, like the behind the scenes, like how did that go?
It was super cool because we always had to get mic'd up. We always had like they care really about like your facial features and like so they'll tell you like, oh, if you had like there's this one person who had a patchy beard, and they're like either shave it off or fill it in, and I was like, whoa, like this is crazy. Like they would tell you like if you're looking a little oily or something like that, like they'll tell you to fix it up. And so it was a lot about appearances, but it was cool to see, you know, we had like full on camera guys that were on us like all the time. And so we would have to you know, do what we needed to do, and like it's crazy because they catch you at any second. And so if you watch if you watch a couple of episodes, I'm yawning at a lot of them.
Where could people find that though?
Oh, okay, so it's called Pitch Slapped. You can find it on Lifetime if you Google it, and I think if you put Lifetime, you can watch the first episode free.
I'll try putting the link on the description somewhere or somewhere on top. I'll try linking it so people can see it.
Yeah, and it's cool because the first episode, I look super different. But like the first episode is a lot about me because I was the one that was moving away from the group, actually coming back to Texas from New Jersey. So you'll catch me crying and you'll catch me singing. Oh my goodness,
more emotions and more drama for it.
That's what I'm saying. I'm too emotional. I can't do too many things since I'm so emotional.
And when they were recording you, like, what did they record exactly? Were they like after you, like around like high school, or how did that work?
So we actually went to a church nearby. It was nearby all of us, and that was like our home base where we trained, where we did most of our filming for like background filming, where he would teach us different concepts and different sounds and teach us how to perform. So each one of us actually had I should have brought it, but we all had a little. It's like a little wooden cylinder, like it's like a peg. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. So we all had a peg where we would like practice doing a mic because we weren't always mic'd all the time. I mean, we were mic'd all the time, but we didn't always have a mic to perform. So that's how we performed every single thing behind the scenes. But it was really cool. And then from there, we would go to our different locations where we would. I guess battle other a cappella groups. It was really fun because we would have to do the arrangement like 3 times.
Do you remember any of the songs you performed for those competitions?
Yes, of course.
What songs have you done?
We did the What You Say. Na, 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 na. We did that one. We did So I'm Still a Rock Star. Na, 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 na. And then we did Beautiful by Christina Aguilera. That one was, oh my goodness, that one was so emotional. Everybody was crying because it was more about like beauty and how you see yourself. Yeah. And that one was.
Could you do a little bit of it?
Which one?
The Beautiful.
Yeah, I actually sang this in another event that I had the other week. Yeah. Like just like a little small clip just to show people. Okay. Don't judge me. You are beautiful no matter what they say. Words can bring you down. Yeah, they don't want to hear you sing. I know they're banging the walls and saying stop. No, but that's amazing because when it came to your voice specifically, like you have a deeper voice compared to like most girls. Cause most girls like they have like you expect them high pitched voice, but you have a nice like calming, a deeper voice. I do. Thank you. Yeah, actually, I was so the way that the vocal arrangement goes, it's like bass, baritone, tenor, alto, soprano. Yeah. I'm a tenor with the boys. So a lot of the times I was singing with the boys. Yeah. Yeah. Because like a lot of times like they strain at the higher parts and then that's where I can fill in and be like the more stable lower voice. So yeah. That's crazy. It's really cool. Like acapella is really cool. I know a lot of people like think it's a little nerdy, but I don't care. No, yeah, it is because like even in Pitch Perfect, like, they were treated as nerds, or even in Glee. In Glee, they were treated as nerds, and well, most of you guys are nerds. I mean, we are, but it's fun. Yeah, because it's fun to perform. Because someone tried making a Glee club in my high school, and like she was a nerd. Really? She had a good voice. Her name's Clarissa. I'll give you a shout out in case. But yeah, she was a nerd. She was really into anime. She was really into like science and math. I'm like, oh, you nerds. But it's really cool because when you see it like all together, oh my goodness, you have to see the What You Say one. I don't know if you have like What You Say. So
Maybe.
It's the Rihanna sampled the part of the song. I'll tell you.
We can look at it for after the podcast is over.
Definitely. But it's so cool because there's a lot of clashing notes and there's a lot of like parts around it, and it was crazy. It sounded so good, and I think I actually might have a video from my Facebook that I could show you of us practicing.
Yeah.
It was so good.
I gotta check it out.
Yeah, I'll show you right, like after this. But
and you said the drama was you moving from New Jersey back to Texas. Yeah. What was that like?
It was crazy. It was crazy because, again, remember, we are in our new coming of age movie, and we did our movie. I was on TV, like I was able to get from not knowing how to speak to speaking
to singing
to being on TV in a matter of 3 years. And then you take all of that and bring me back to the Valley where people knew me as like super awkward, super weird. And so it was hard coming back because a lot of people already had this like
this image of you. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That happened to me too.
Yeah, they already had this image of me. So I had to like make my way around it to really show the guy, like people, that okay, I'm not that person anymore. I don't know, I'm sorry that you had to meet that person all the way back when, but I'm a new person. I perform now, I sing now, I talk now, like you can actually talk to me. And it was weird because I went back into, I don't know if you've ever experienced it, but going back into a room that you've been in before and like having to, it's weird. Like I was in, like, let's say that in church. So I had to go back to church as a new person where people already preconceived me as another person. And it's just weird to be in that space because one, it's kind of like you kind of see like time travel since everybody around you like grew up and was like people. But it was just weird to have to get people to know me as another person and then also try to figure out who I was because at this point, I'm like, okay, well, I was on TV. I thought I was going to be like a star. Like,
nope, you're back here.
And then I'm back here because my friend, my best friend and I, we were talking on FaceTime. We were like, oh, yeah, so now we're going to get on Ellen. Now we're going to get on these shows because everybody's going to love us and all these things. And then none of that happened. Yeah. Because, like, I feel like when it comes to being in the entertainment industry, you have to actively be active. Yeah. People don't just come to you. Like, we didn't know that was kind of a rare instance that that production company came to us and asked us to audition. We thought it was just like, since we were on TV, everybody's going to come to us.
Nope.
But that was definitely not the case. So I had to come back here. I had to go through that whole, like, be in the medical field. I was a biology major at that time. And it was like, it was not good. It was not a good time.
And I know what you mean because, like, I had the opposite effect, though, because... in late middle school and early high school, like I was really into, like my family would go to church a lot, so like I got known as the religious person or the religious guy. And then like halfway into like high school, like I kind of became less religious, and then by like college, like I was like I still like go to church and believe in God, but like I didn't really go to church as much, or I wasn't as devoted as much. But people at my city, they are like, oh no, it's Jose, it's the religious guy, and like they still have that image of me. I'm like, no, I'm not that same person anymore. So like when you're talking about that, I'm like, yeah, I went through that, and it's a process trying to like tell people like, no, I'm not that person anymore. And and if you see people who like still haven't seen you yet, they still have that image of like, oh, it's that guy.
Yeah, it's that person, and it's kind of hard because like I don't want to go around and tell people like that's not me, that's not me, that's not me. You kind of just have to be who you are, and then I mean at the end of the day, if they accept it, they accept it. If not, then cool. They have to realize that you're a different person. You can't be telling them, because then it's kind of cheesy too, like, oh no, I'm not that person anymore. Exactly. And it's like a lot of conversations that don't need to be had. You know, I'm very like precious on my time.
Oh yeah, you have to value your time.
So I'm like, well, you can ask me about it if you want to ask me about it, but if you don't want to, then cool, we'll move on.
And then you said you came back like for college or like for the ending of high school, or what was that?
Yeah, well, because we moved back here. My dad was done with the school. He graduated. And so we had to move back here. And I wanted to stay there because, like, you know, this is where I got all the opportunities.
You're building stuff there, yeah.
I was building, and then I came back here, and then it was just like, meh. Like, I'm back.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't really any big opportunities for me. I mean, I went to college, but, like, for me and my family, like, college is no-brainer. Of course you have to go to college. That's not even a choice to not go to college. And I know that's not that's not the same for a lot of people here, but for us, that's how I was raised. And so it was like, okay, well, I have to go to college. And when it comes to college, you kind of figure out that at the end of the day, you kind of are getting the same education, just at different prices because of the status of the school. Yeah. So that's why they brought me back here, and that's what my parents and my family's reasoning behind it was, because, well, we're gonna save money if you go to school here. Yeah. And then me being young, dumb, and broke, I thought, well, they just hate me and they just don't want me to live my best life because I was on TV and now I can't. Now I have to go back to college and be. Now I have to go back to college and like it was tough. It was tough to come back here and then take a couple steps back, because then I was also in a different environment where people didn't really talk to me again. Like they had those preconceived like notions about me, and then now I have to work my way around it. So then what I did to get myself back forward was I joined a group in UTRGV called Rebel Thrivers. What's that? They were like a show choir. They're not really around anymore. But at the time they were pretty active, and I was like, ooh, let me like I miss singing. Like, let me go back and do a cappella. And it was really fun for a time, and it was good to like be back in singing again. But it wasn't. It didn't. You're just in a college group, so it didn't really like go too many places. And it was a lot of work. Trying to teach people and like singing and all that stuff. It's a ton. Was it ever like kind of like, I wouldn't say pressure, but like, did you ever feel like, because I'm not sure like how your experience was with the other group, were they more advanced compared to this college group, or like you had to teach them like, no, you can do this too, and I basically had to teach everybody how to sing and how to blend well. So they weren't already singers; they were barely starting, or no? They were singers. People sang, but singing on your own and singing a cappella are two different worlds. So you have to learn how to blend with each other, like make certain like a ooh or ah, or like have a certain like way that you're singing, and like pulling the egg, like if you're singing, like, you know what I'm talking about, where you pull the egg here to lift up your voice palette. Like it's a lot of things. It sounds weird, and a lot of things in like singing are, like sound weird, but it works. And it works to like blend things together and have people sing together. And we were so good. We were singing around like schools, like campuses, and we were doing events here and there. But it was really fun to like see how they progress and like know that we were getting better. Like we were really getting better, and it was fun to perform and just be out there. And get to see them go from one area, progress, like that's. And you were helping them do that. Yeah. Because I had the experience. I knew. You came from You came from a television show. You were going to go on Ellen. We're supposed to. But it's okay. Ellen, I am still waiting for your call. You never know. Is Ellen still... She's kind of I know her. She came out as a bitch. That's what, according to her producers and people who work with her, that she was like, oh no, she's an awful person. Okay, well, any other show, any show. At the end of the day, I'm not picky. Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much how that went. But it was fun. Yeah. It was fun to be in that environment again. And now that I am out of the environment, I've been looking for ways to get back into singing and get back into just music in general. Yeah. Wow, that's a crazy thing. And then after that, you said you did college. What was the pressure you were going through with your family? Because you mentioned a little bit that they were still trying to force you into the medical field. Yeah. How did you balance that, and then also doing music, and then the financial education stuff? It was hard. It was really hard. At the end of the day, you kind of just have to keep a tunnel vision. Yeah. For me, my goal was to just graduate and not do the medical field. That's pretty much what it was. So I constantly had to be like away from family. I had to whenever they would tell me things, I would just have to block it out of my mind and take it out, because then it would affect me, and then I would have to like go back into, do whatever they tell me to do, because I love them. I care for them, and I want to have a good relation with them, but I understand that they only came from one point of view. Yeah, like they what they're trying to do is like they had the best intentions, and we talked a little bit about that, where sometimes like you might not get along with your parents, and they're really trying to do what's like what they consider the best for you, but sometimes like you don't agree with it, so like you gotta balance that. And then it's kind of a maturing process where you need to understand like, hey, why are my parents pushing this on me, and like why are they acting this way? And once you realize their background, you're like, oh, okay, because I had like my own issues with my father where we didn't really get along. That's to put it lightly, at least.
And once my mother told me like his backstory, like what he had to deal with in Mexico, like with his stepfather, I'm like, oh, okay. So he went through this, and now he's trying to do a little bit better. And to me, that's the best outcome there could be.
Yeah.
Like, not try to regress, not to try to copy the past, but like at least move a little bit forward. Because I had that issue, that conversation with my mother where she felt like, am I providing you guys, me and my sister, like, am I providing you guys a better life? And it's a really deep question to think of as a parent, because like you honestly want your best for your kids. And I told her like the only thing you need to think about is, are you providing a better life than the life your parents provided you? And that question is an absolute yes. Like, we have internet, we have aircon, we have everything. Like, everything we need, it's met. There's no need for food or anything like that. Like, well, too much food actually, but too much food. But all of our needs are met. We're able to go out with our friends, because like her mom wouldn't let her like go out with her, like stay over at other friends' house.
Yeah.
And like she could only stay over with one of her cousins, I believe. So like whenever I wanted to go out with my friends, she would let me, like, go out and have fun, but just tell me where you're at, just in case something happens, I can find you.
Yeah.
And so, like, I mean, I understand, like, your parents are just trying to provide what's best for you, but sometimes, like, hey, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I agree. And sometimes it doesn't align, and that's okay. You know, it's okay to have a different life. And that's something that I had to come to terms with, is that, yes, they're my family. Yes, I love them. Yes, they did the best that they can for me. And I agree, like, they did the best that they can. Maybe I didn't
understand it or
understand or appreciate it in that way. But at the end of the day, they did their best, and they're working towards, towards something better. So for my family, the big issue is that, like, no communication.
Oh, okay.
And that's for me, it's hard. It's hard, especially because, with medical field, they're not physically there. And then when they are there, they don't communicate. Yeah. So it's kind of like, okay, who are you? You know what I'm saying? And so it took me to, like, meet my grandparents to realize, okay, I understand where they're coming from. Yeah. But now we do have communication. Like, to me, when I was a kid, it was like no communication, right? But now that I'm older, I do realize they are trying, that they are actively trying to communicate with me. They're actually trying to, understand a little bit more. It might not be at the point where I want it to be, because I'm a very deep thinker. And I think we were talking about that. We're both very deep thinkers.
I think a lot.
We're both very deep thinkers, and we both need to, like, hash it out with people.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's not how they work. And that's okay. It's okay that that's not how they work.
Because not a lot of people honestly think a lot. And I think since they don't have that time, like, since they're always working, I don't think they get the time to, like, think a lot. Yeah. Because they're always busy, so.
Yeah, there's a lot on their brain. And especially if you're dealing with lives. Like, of course, I'm not going to expect you to, to tell me anything about that. But it's still, at the end of the day, they tried, and they're doing better when they were doing before, too. Yeah,
because they were able to build that foundation that you're building off of yourself.
Yeah, and now I'm gonna talk about anything and everything with my future family. So I mean, it's not the way that you wanted it to be, but there is progress, and I think at the end of the day, that's the most important part of it. Progress, no matter what, even if it's a step forward, it's a step.
It's a step.
It's a step forward. Yeah.
And then you continued on with your singing. How was it with after college? Because now you're no longer part of the group. Now you're by yourself.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, I'm always singing because I go to church, and they always ask me to sing here and there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they?
And then also, of course, for weddings, I've been singing for weddings too. But I've been really wanting to, like, discover my own type of music, like, do my own voice. And so it's been very interesting, because I noticed that, like, I do like certain types of music, but it doesn't mesh with my voice well.
So, like, what music, like, what are, like, your top 3 genres, like, your absolute favorite?
Right now? Okay, so jazz, for sure, is one of them. It's not R&B. There's different types of R&B.
Yeah, there is. It's the mix, yeah.
It's a mix. Like, R&B, like Jasmine Sullivan R&B, SZA R&B, PJ Morton type of R&B. Yeah. And then another one, I would say I'm really into ballads too.
Ballads.
Yeah, I've been really into ballads lately. It's been really weird, but it's kind of cool, because, like, you get to hear, like, Celine Dion and all those people, like the throwback to the good ballady times, and those are always so fun to sing. Yeah,
it's fun.
Yeah. Why are you laughing?
No, because I'm thinking, like for me, like, my experience with ballads are, like, a bunch of rock ballads, because, like, I listen to a lot of rock music.
Yeah.
And when you mentioned Celine Dion, like, you know the song I Don't Want to Miss a Thing?
Yeah.
So originally that song was for Celine Dion. She was supposed to sing that song for the movie Armageddon, but she wasn't able to do it because she was doing Titanic. And she was doing I Will Always Love You, I think. Wait, is it the name of the song or no?
Yeah.
Was it or no. Yeah, that was for Titanic, right? Okay, yeah, I was making sure because I'm like...
Wait, that's Whitney Houston.
Are you sure? No, it's a different song.
This one I'm like from Titanic?
Titanic, yeah, they had their own song.
Every night in my dreams, I see you. Go on.
What song is it? My Heart Will Go On.
Far. Yeah.
That's the one. That's why I I always love you. No, that's Whitney Houston. No, she was supposed to do I Don't Want to Miss a Thing, but she passed it on because she was doing Titanic. And so Aerosmith ended up with I Don't Want to Miss a Thing. And
that's a good one.
That's a really good song.
That's a really good one.
And then I always kind of find it weird because the main actress is Steven Tyler's daughter.
Really?
Yeah, Liz Taylor, or I think that's her name? I think so.
I didn't know that.
Liv Taylor, that's her name. That's his daughter. So when she's with Bruce Willis and they're playing that song, it's kind of weird, making love while your dad's on the radio.
Oh no!
That's what that's kind of strange.
That's really weird. I didn't even think about it that way.
Yeah, because she's a talented actress because she's the dad in Lord of the Rings and all that stuff. But it's kind of wait a second, that's your dad.
That's funny. I didn't. Yeah.
But what ballads do you like? What are your go-to ballads? Because you say, do you sing those at weddings or?
Adele. I sing a lot of Adele at weddings. Specifically, Make You Feel My Love. That's the one that I sing a lot. Another one, I don't know if this qualifies as a ballad, but At Last by Etta James. That's the one I also sing. And I kind of just do the same and then add an extra song if they request for it specifically. But yeah.
It's crazy. Do you get paid for these things or it's just favors from friends? Or
favors from friends because it's family friends. So, I mean, they raised me. So I was like, okay, and at least I can do is sing a song for you. And
yeah.
I mean, I wish I would have, but I mean, to me at that time, it didn't feel right.
Yeah. But I think if they're family friends, it'll feel we're charging them. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think now because I've always been trying to improve my voice here and there. I think the point where I'm at now, I think I can start charging.
Yeah. I think you should because, it's extra money for the side.
Yeah. Yeah.
My God. And then, where was I? So we talked about you improving. Okay. So the next part would be your financial education branch. How did that happen? Did you, because you said you did some of it after college or was it before college when you were starting that journey?
It was right when I was ending college. So I technically was in college.
Yeah.
But, I was getting out, right at the midst of getting out. And so when it came to that, it was coming out of that whole, life coaching thing that I was in and out of. And so basically what happened, I talked to the guy and I was like, hey, this isn't working out for me. And so he's like, okay, you know what? Let me introduce you to my friend. He's doing this whole financial education, financial literacy piece. And I think it'd be great if you could be involved in it. And I was like, okay, well, cool. Sure.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Why not? I mean, I didn't have anything going for me at that time. And I just knew I didn't want to be in the medical field. So I was going to run anywhere else. Any opportunity I was going to run to be in the medical field. And so I started doing this financial educational stuff. And I was in and out of it because I was like, I don't really like money that much. I'm not really into it.
Yeah, it's not a really sexy topic or whatever.
Exactly.
It's not.
It's not. And it took me a couple months to finally understand why you need to really understand money. And it wasn't until I was I started hearing case studies after case studies after case studies of people really getting ripped off.
Oh, yeah.
When it comes to just people giving them insurance or just giving them advice in general. A lot of people just really want your money.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not really the case for us because we really want to listen to you and understand where your problems are coming from, where you want to go with your money. And then of course help you do something about it.
Absolutely.
But it was hard for me to just go from
from medical to
financial, then try to figure out financial, and then finally fall in love with it. But I think I'm finally at the point where I understand because I do see the injustice around the world.
Yeah, because that's when we started talking about that, I thought it was really noble because here in the Valley, not a lot of people have that financial education.
Yeah.
And my with my mom, I had an issue with her because I told her are you saving towards retirement or anything like that?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh no, I didn't get that 401k whatever because my coworker was telling me that they would text you more. And I'm like, Well, I mean, yeah, you are getting taxed for the money that you're, but like that's your retirement, like that's for your future. And then I'm like, oh no, like to be giving bad financial advice could like really ruin your life, especially in the future.
It really does. It really does. And one of the co-authors, Tom's, like to say it's about you lose about almost $2,000. Well, let's say like let's keep it to $1,400 just by not knowing or not understanding. And it's crazy. It's crazy what like. Because I really do think, and I don't know if this is going to get political, but the government doesn't want us to know any of these things. Yeah. They really don't want us to understand money because they profit off of us not knowing money. So that's all I'm going to say about politics. I don't want to get
no, well, there is like there is some cases like that which has been like public where, like in the case of Texas specifically, H&R Block and like all those like Texas companies, they don't want the tax system to be simplified because then they lose their income.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not just like the government, but like there's also companies lobbying for more complicated tax laws so they can have what do you call it, clients, I guess.
Yeah, and a lot of them just like build on the interest too. Like for example, banks, they don't make money off of us; they build off of the interest. Yeah. So they're basically what happens is that we are giving them our money in a savings account growing at 0.09%.
We're giving them gambling money basically. Yeah.
Exactly. And they give us 0.09% of growth, which is around 800 years for your money to double. So like $1 to turn into $2. And then they flip it around and turn it on us and say, hey, here you go, a $5,000 credit card, but we're going to charge you 17%. Yeah. Where they double their money in 4 years. Like, isn't that crazy? Isn't that insane? And when I heard that, I was just like, oh my gosh, like, you're kidding me. Like, you're kidding that's actually happening. If you walk across a street in any city, you look up.
The biggest buildings are banks. Typically.
The banks, and especially here, like what Rio Bank just popped up in the last year.
Oh, they're making numbers.
They're making big numbers because we don't have a lot of tall buildings, and that's like. And there's
also the Frost, and is it Frost or no? The one in McAllen, like there's a giant tower.
I think it's Frost.
I think it is Frost, right?
That's what I remember in my head. But yes, it's crazy. It's crazy just not knowing or not understanding,
because
money.
Like right now, savings accounts are basically a scam because of how low the interest rates are.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you're only getting, I think, like 0.05 or 1 or like.
The average is like 0.9. Yeah. But like for me, we have a little article that CNBC did about us, and they got the banks and the savings rates that they gave out, and Bank of America was mine, and it's 0.03.
Oh shit!
So that's 2,400 years for like, okay, $1 to do isn't that impressive, but let's say that you put like $100,000 to $200,000. Yes. Like that's like.
That's why, like,
it's crazy.
That's why when I was going through my own stuff, like, I tried looking for online banks, like, who has the most interest, and most of them have like really low rates. Yeah. Even the one I have right now, it's I have my savings account with Ally Bank. They're an online bank, and they have some of the highest interest rates. But even at that, the interest alone is killing it. Yeah. Because typically, interest the rate was for inflation was 2%. But recently it's been like up to 7%. So for whatever money you have in your account, like you're losing 7% of its purchasing power every year. Yeah. And it's bad. And then with the gas prices right now, it's
these gas prices are not it. I paid $70 to fill up my tank the other day when I usually pay like $30 to $50. And I was mad. Honestly, I was mad when I walked out of there. Because one, I had to wait in a long line. Yeah. Two, I had to pay $70. And I was like, oh my goodness, what is... Yeah. I'm going to have to start walking and biking and
I hated
invest
that
in a horse
I got mad because there was these snobby like Twitter journalists or like people like who are like environmental scientists. Yeah. They were saying like, oh, like instead of complaining about gas prices, why don't you just walk or bike and like go like walk to work or use public transit? And I'm like... Maybe for major cities it makes sense to be doing that, but like here in the valley specifically, or any like other rural or like smaller cities, you can't do that.
You cannot. Like that's gonna take me like what 2 hours to do like a 20-minute drive. Yeah. No, I'm not doing that. I'd rather pay the $70. I'm sorry, but
because for me it was $30 before to fill it up. Now it's 60, 70. I'm like,
It's not fun. It's not a good time.
No, yeah.
Somebody fix it, please.
And that's why, like, my panic, or at least my worry is, like, what if someone causes a gas shortage because people start panicking? Yeah, because it happened here twice in the valley. The first time was when KRGB made a mistake and they said that there's going to be a gas shortage here in the valley. And there wasn't. So what did people do? People panicked and they caused the gas shortage.
That's crazy.
And I'm like,
I mean, like the grocery shortage too. That's kind of like how the same way that it works. But oh my goodness.
Yeah, that happened. And I remember that time, I think it was that time, I saw a lot of people, like a lot of cars going to my town. And I live in a really small town. It's La Villa. And hardly anybody in the valley knows where that is, so I'm safe. I saw all these cars going to the gas station in stripes. And I'm like, who are all these people?
Who are you? What are you doing here?
The only thing I could think of, like, is there a celebrity here, something like that happened to be in a small town just to like hide from people?
Yeah.
And no, it turned out that I checked on the news. All my Facebook was about the gas shortage, that people were like panicking and go get gas. And then I saw my godfather there, and we rolled down the window. I'm like, what's going on? Like, no, they're taking the gas. Like, what? Like, gas is gonna be shortage here in the valley. And then I'm like, oh no. And then within a couple of hours, there's this satire page called I think it's called the Valley Wire. They're like a comedy page on Facebook. They were explaining that that KRGB fucked up. Like, they they put misinformation and caused everybody to panic. So that was the first one. The second one was last year with the freeze.
Oh yes, I remember that one. My parents were in the Costco line again for that. Yeah. And
that was awful. And then again, my town, I don't know how it happened. It was some kind of miracle. My town was like one of the few places that had gas and electricity was still running for the gas station.
Wow.
So everybody from the surrounding area, which would be the Delta area, which is La Villa, Ecouch, Monte Alto, and then people from West Local, Edinburgh.
Yeah.
They were all coming to our town. And I'm like, oh no, what am I going to do? So luckily, I was with my sister. And they were all forming the line from the front from the front of the store. It so happens that on the side, you can also enter the store. Oh. So everybody was lining up to the front area, and I just went to the side and went, and I somehow I just got I right perfectly on time. I got one of the nozzles, and I started like pumping the car up, because I'm like, we don't know how long this freeze is gonna last. And then the car behind me was honking for me to hurry up. I'm like, no, if I was you wouldn't be like hurrying up to like,
exactly.
You're trying to do it for your own survival. So I'm like, no, I'm putting up this car. And I'm like, oh my God. So like that trauma, I'm like, what if this happens again? And we not only do we have high gas prices, but like, what if this happens? And
right, like, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, what are we gonna do?
I don't know.
So I don't know. That was my panic. I'm like, I told my friends, get gas right now and don't worry about it in case it does happen. It's just wild how people react. And that's kind of like the thing I was getting to. Like, we both tend to like you were mentioning, we both tend to like analyze people deeply. Where do you think that happened for you? Like, what made you realize, hey, I tend to think about people a little bit more than other people think about?
For me, I don't think it was a something big. It was more just like a gradual understanding, because I would, talk to people about certain topics and be like, oh, didn't you notice that this person was doing this and they were acting like this, like specifically when it comes to like relationship advice, and be like, no, and I'd be like, oh, okay. And so then it would just be different instances where I would analyze people a little bit more. Yeah. Or sometimes I talk too deep into topics and then they would stop talking and I'm like, oh, sorry. I think you
pushed it a little too far.
That was a little too much. I'm sorry. But for me, I think it didn't really start until probably like my self awareness journey, which had to start because I was not going to be in the medical field. Like from that point on, when I decided, you know what, I can't be there and I need to be somewhere else, I needed to figure out who I was. And then I started getting deep into who I was, and why I had certain traumas, why I was acting certain ways. And then from there on, I was just like, okay, I guess not a lot of people can do that on their own, because like for like, let's say therapy, I noticed in my friends, and like some people would go and they'd be like, oh, we were talking about this and I like this and this and this, and I had these realizations. Also on TikTok, like people give advice and all those things, and I was like, people don't already know that. Like people don't already think that way. And that's when I started to say like, okay, maybe my brain is a little different, a little wired, a little different. I think a little too much maybe sometimes, but I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing. Oh no, because sometimes I feel like I don't know if this is a real word, but like I therapize myself. Well, if it's not you, it is now. It's a new word, guys. So in ways it's helpful, but it's also not helpful because you have one perspective. Yeah. So that's the only thing. Yeah,
because for me it is a mix where like I'm the same way. I think a lot, not only about like why I do things or my motive, whatever, but like also other people. Yeah. But then it just become an issue where it's kind of like an isolation type thing because no one else thinks like you.
Yeah.
So it becomes kind of like you kind of get lonely because like, oh man, like no one else thinks like me, and I can't have these conversations with these people. And it wasn't until I met you at the coffee shop where I'm like, no, there is someone like me, and I'm like, oh shit, I better talk with this person and become friends because to me it was like a huge relief. Like, okay, I'm not the only one. I'm not crazy. Maybe I am. Maybe eccentric or something.
Everybody's a little crazy.
Yeah, a little crazy. But then like, hey, no, there is people out there.
Yeah.
Whether a lot of them are not, but like there is someone like you out there.
There is. Yeah, and it's really fun because like to me, because I talk to a lot of people now, you really do get to see how not alone you are. Like you do mesh with certain people, certain people you don't, and that's okay. But there really are deep thinkers out there. We just have to. Well, we just have to get out of our heads and like finally learn how to talk to each other. Yeah, you know. That's
what I was thinking. Like maybe we think too much, so we don't like talk enough to talk with other people. So like,
exactly.
Yeah, that could be the issue.
That could be the issue. We're so deep, too deep in our heads.
Yeah, I know. So for me, I think it just happened where like when it was part of it was politics, but like just dealing with people where I'm like, okay, why do I think the way I think? Why do I react the way I react? And then like the first thing for me, like if anybody knows me, like I'm really anti-government. Like that's my big thing. Like I just want to be left alone. I want to provide for my family, provide for my friends, be there for them. Just leave me alone.
Yeah. And
so like I started thinking like, where did this come from? And I realized that a lot of it was from school, because in elementary I was a really smart kid, like too smart for my own good, I think. And like I was kind of slow to speak because I was learning English and Spanish. So that actually like slows down your development.
Yeah,
it holds you back.
Yeah, you're doing twice the work.
Yeah, but it's actually been proven that like if you're learning two languages, like those kids tend to be much smarter than the person who only knows one language. So one of those like awakening moments or whatever you want to call it, there was a teacher named Mr. Lacerda. I hope she's not alive, like so she won't see this. If you are, no, if she is, well then.
Click away. Just kidding.
And we were doing this in exam, and she gave me like a 50 or something like that, and we were failing. I'm like, I never felt like I'm good at English. Why am I failing? So she gave me the reason why, and like, oh no, like in this part of the story, this happened, and that's why like this is all of these questions are wrong. And I'm like, so I went back to the book, looked through all the chapters. I'm like, no, I'm right. So then she looked at the book, and then she looked at her answer sheet or whatever you want to call it. She realized she was using the wrong one. So everybody who was failing suddenly just started passing.
Wow.
And as a kid, I'm like, okay.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't me. It was you. And as a kid, like, you think the adults are the ones who know everything. Like, they're the smart ones. They've been through everything. And no, I realized some adults are stupid. And why should I trust them? And so that became a whole, like, rebellious mode where it wasn't just being like, oh, you're not letting me do what I want to do. It was more, no, you don't know what you're doing, so why should I trust you? And I think that kind of like led me with to my anti-government mentality, where I'm like, okay, sure, you're 80 years old, you're a politician, but like, do you really know what's best for me? And who are you to tell me what to do? Again, that rebel mentality. Yeah. So that kind of like led to the whole, okay, so if I think about this, what else? Why do I reckon like with this with other stuff? And that's kind of how it went.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think it's so cool that you felt that at such a young age.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, it's weird, but isn't it fascinating to see how life turns out from just understanding your brain a little bit? I think it's really cool.
Yeah, because not a lot of people do that, or maybe they don't have the chance to do it, because some people are really busy with work, like your parents, and maybe they don't get the opportunity to think a lot. Because like if you think too much, then you sort of like get into darker topics, and like, okay, you know what? I want to go sleep already.
Back. Let's close the door and open it up.
So yeah. And for you, like, what did you realize about yourself that was kind of like, oh shoot?
A big thing? Ooh, that's a good question. Because I think my biggest realizations have come recently.
Yeah.
Big one was with my family, because I always thought that I was like a black sheep. I was always the person that didn't really like to follow. I was very stubborn. I was very, anti, not government, but like family. I was very anti-family. And because I mean, being raised in that type of environment, you don't feel nurtured, especially if they're physically there, and two, if they're not talking to you. So a big thing that I came to realize is that people are not perfect.
Yeah.
They're never going to be perfect.
Never.
But what the biggest thing that you can appreciate is that they are making steps forward. And so a big thing that was like, that came to my mind was like, I have a little sister. We're 10 years apart. Oh. And I didn't know why. I was always just like, I didn't like her. Like, I had this like hate for her at such a young age. And I was like, why do I hate a person that's not even born? Like, why is that a thing? Why do I have so much hate for this person? Yeah. And where they're just barely learning how to be a person, like barely like raising themselves up. But I guess it's just because I didn't feel the love or the care on my own, but I saw them caring for her, where I was just like, oh, like, it's not fair, you know? Like, I think that's why I always, like, me with her specifically, it's always a competition. It's always just like not really competition, but like I always have to feel like I have to prove myself a little bit more, because they gave her more attention, they gave her more opportunities, they're more nicer to her. And a big thing for me was just like, okay, you have to realize that maybe they learned from me to not to do the same things to her anymore. And I was just like, oh, why do I have to realize that? Like, why do I have to understand that? Because then I can't be mad at it anymore. Yeah, you can't. Now I can't be mad at her anymore. I can't be mad at my family anymore. So who can I be mad at? Like, I can't be mad at anybody else other than myself. And so that was the biggest thing for me, is that, okay, yes, they didn't do what I wanted them to do with me, but they're doing what I wanted them to do with me to her. For sure. Yeah. And it's just like, it's like a whole nother level of pain, but also a whole nother level of like appreciation for them. Because the things I went through as a kid were not good. They were not good. Yeah. And they don't do that to her. Like, she's got a free life basically, because I was I was so stubborn and I was really bad.
Yeah, because parents, I mean, like, from what I'm assuming, like, parents they don't have a handbook to tell them, like, this is how you raise a kid. Yeah, they learn through their experiences with their first child. And since I'm the firstborn too, like, we're basically the guinea pigs.
We are the guinea pigs,
and then they learn, and they do better with the other kids.
They do, and it hurts. It's like, to me, it hurt to see, because I was like, that's what I could have got. That maybe I wouldn't have been the way that I am. That's true. But then again, you learn, like, you have an appreciation for it, because, like, if I wasn't this way, then I don't know who I would be. I'd probably,
you'd be an entirely different person.
I would be an entirely different person, and I wouldn't have fought for what I've been fighting for, what I'm currently fighting for, which is like me, you know?
Because I'm wondering, like, maybe that, like, helped you, because from the way I see you, like, you're really, like, independent, you're trying to do your own thing. Yeah. Maybe they kind of, like, helped you because you didn't have that support as much. Yeah. You had to do your own thing. Yeah. And that, like, made you who you are right now.
Exactly. I completely agree also, because, like, I think it helped because it showed me how to be more empathetic towards other people, and really, like, give my time to other people, because I just didn't feel like that was given to me. And I think that's so important too, especially when it comes to not even just networking, just like building relationships with people. People want to be heard, and people want to be, like, understood, and, like, there's got to be somebody for that, you know? And I really don't mind being that person to listen to other people, because sometimes, like, I mean, with you and me, like, we listen to each other, and sometimes because, like, we don't have the other person to listen to us who's going to listen to our crazy thoughts in our head that may or may not make sense to people.
No, absolutely.
You know, so it's a give and take, but I feel like that's pretty much just life. Life is always a give and take. It's not always going to be rainbows and butterflies, which I wish it was. But
yeah, I think a lot of people would, but then, like, it sounds like a boomer thing to say, but, like, it kind of builds character.
It does, and I know it does sound cliche, but, like, at the end of the day, it's true. And something that I've come to realize too, as, like, somebody who's trying to be more independent, is that it always starts a little ugly. It's always going to be a little ugly in the beginning. It's always going to be twice as long, twice as much money, twice as much time, twice as much effort, and you may not get anything from there in the beginning, but if you keep pushing and keep condensing it and trying to make it like easier for you, and, you know, figure a way out through whatever you're going through, it'll make sense, and it'll figure itself out, and then from there on it'll boom and do whatever you want to do, whether it's like you know, have your own business, whether it's doing a podcast. Dude, tell your story about this whole like podcast thing, because I think it's so important for you to like share that too.
Well, the first thing I do want to touch on was what you mentioned about being by yourself. It makes it takes more time and more money.
Yeah.
I had that thought at work, because at work, since like I'm mostly pushing carts, loading up stuff, I have a lot of time, too much time to like just in my own thoughts. And I thought, like here in the Valley, a recent article came out in the Valley from, who was it? I think it was the Monitor, that the prices of Valley homes increased by 14% this previous year.
14%?
14%. That's a huge jump.
That is
and so like if you're trying to live out on your own, it's going to be really hard. So either you go with multi-generational homes, or you find someone to be with and like try to share costs, like whether it be roommates or someone or a partner. So I'm like, oh shit, like as much as you want to be independent, like you do need somebody. You do need help, and you do need resources, and don't be afraid to ask for help. No, yeah, absolutely.
Please, because for me, it took me 24 years. I'm 24 years old. 24 years old. It took me 24 years to realize that help is actually good, and I've only really done that this year. But it's opened me to so many opportunities like this, opportunities to use this space. We're in a studio right now.
Oh yeah, it's really nice.
It's a really nice studio, and really like. Asking for help is actually very helpful.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy.
Once you can ask for help, it's good.
Yeah.
And then to answer your other question was, how did I start this? Actually, I had let me see. During high school, I had my own little podcast with my friends, but it was like awful because it was this shitty laptop. We would use the webcam. We didn't have like microphones. It was just whatever was on the laptop.
Yeah.
And we would just talk. And then like once I got in college, I'm like, oh, this is kind of cringe. Like I don't want people seeing this, because I would put it on YouTube and it would actually do really well, because people from our town will like listen to us. And they're like, oh, when you're releasing the next episode, or like when you do this, I'm like, oh,
that's cool.
We'll see.
We're like celebrities.
A little celebrity. And eventually we just kind of stopped, because I'm like, no, this is kind of cringe. And then college happened, so like we were all separate. Get busy, yes. And then we did another one. It was called the Hangout Podcast, because whenever me and my guys would like get together, like we'll call it a hangout, like let's hang out. Yeah. And it became cringe again.
Why?
I mean, it's because like the topics we had, like as a person, like from who you are from college to like towards the end of college, you change as a person.
You do.
And you grow as a person, and like the views I had during college, like they're not the same views I have right now. And I don't want people like to see that, because I'm like, we're a bunch of weirdos just talking on the camera on the laptop, and someone was like, we grew as people, so so kind of like it's on YouTube, but I'm like, I'm unlisting this. I don't want nobody seeing this stuff. And then again with this one now, so I had some experience, but like it was just me and my friends. It was never me going out. How did it start? It happened last year with the pandemic. I mean, it was already 2021, so I mean, it was with Pablo. He got interviewed by KRGV, and he was talking about like all of this racism he was going through. I'm like, wait, what? There's racism here in the Valley? And again, I'm part of the majority race, so like a bunch of Hispanics. So like, we make racial humors, but like I never experienced like doing racism towards another person. So I'm like, oh, this is kind of strange. Like, let me go talk with him. Like, I wonder what people were telling him, because, like I said in that episode, Filipinos are basically the Mexican Asians. Like, we both got conquered by Spain. We have similar culture. Why would you be racist to somebody so similar to you? Sure, the only difference is this is what he says, almond eyes. I don't know what the proper term is.
What's that?
Like your eyes, like how the Asian eyes.
Oh, almond eyes. Yeah.
I don't know what the term is. I don't want to get in trouble with that. But that would be the only difference, because even with skin color, like you guys
we're
like,
pretty similar.
We're pretty similar. So it's just the eyes. Would that really cause so much racism? And so I messaged him on Instagram, and I listened to his music. I'm like, wow, this guy has a really beautiful voice, very soft and delicate. But I'm like, okay, whatever, whatever. But like, I still messaged him like, what did you face here in the Valley? And he was telling me like all the shit that he went through. I'm like, oh wow, it's bad here. And we just started talking, and I realized, you know what? I can help people tell their stories and maybe like lessen the racism. That was kind of the first thought. Like, maybe if we talk with each other, we can like educate other people. Like, hey, we are similar in culture. We're not that different. Well, we are a little bit, but not that different.
Yeah.
And maybe people like will get along better. So that was the first thing. And then once I realized there's actual talent here in the Valley, I'm like, oh shit, like there's singers, there's musicians, there's guitarists, there's bands.
Yeah.
Why don't we hear about this? And so that led me to thinking, okay, let me use my education in advertising and my own social skills and combine them and then make the podcast. Because I had already done that before.
Yeah.
And so that basically like led to this.
So like it built upon
every skill I had before, and it makes, to me it's perfect, because it's a combination of everything I went through, and now I get to be here talking with you, talking with a bunch of other people who are being scheduled right now, and it's
I know. Tell them about your success. Come on.
It's pretty exciting because, well, I don't want to name drop too many people, but the first one was obviously Paolo.
Yes.
Then the second episode, which was yesterday or 2 days ago, was Derek Flores. That's coming up pretty soon. It takes time to edit video and all that stuff. Like
it's work.
Like this, like our podcast so far, it's at the 1 hour and 14-minute mark.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy how time flies. With Derek, it was like an hour and 30, an hour 40. So that's going to take a while to edit. And this, of course.
Yes, of course.
Next week, the big announcement for now is that I'm going to be interviewing Valley Swerve. He's a well-known producer, good guy. I love him. I bought one of his cassettes recently. Like, so you follow me on Instagram, you'll see me like posting whatever merch I buy from them. Mm-hmm. And I had someone message me yesterday that they want to do an interview. So that's going to be a big one. Mm-hmm. I'll let you guys know when that happens next week. And so it's been pretty exciting because I never expected people to like have this positive outreach to me. So it's kind of crazy for me.
Isn't it cool?
It's cool. Because we talked about it a couple of weeks back before I even started it. Like, this is my plans. This is what I'm trying to do. Mm-hmm. Who knows what will happen? And here we are. And
it's happening and it's growing. And I think that's so cool.
It's amazing.
It's a great... I think it's a great story, to be honest.
Yeah, because there's so many stories here in the Valley that haven't been told, and I want to tell those stories. Yeah. Because no one else is doing it. I mean, there's other people who interview musicians, but like, they do Zoom meetings and all stuff, and it's different seeing a screen. Like if if I was interviewing you through Zoom, like I'll be looking at that camera. It's not the same as looking at you in person. Yeah. Like that human interaction, it's not the same.
It's not.
And it's not to me to make fun of them, but like it's not. I don't like it. Like, it's not fun. Mm-hmm. And then
it's real.
It's not real. And so I'm hoping to expand into like interviewing business owners from here in the Valley because they also need the promotion and tell their stories, their struggles, and hopefully I could get some sponsorships because I need to make money. Like I love doing this, but
wink, wink,
wink, wink. If anybody wants to sponsor me, I don't care how small you are. Give me that money, and I'll promote you guys.
Please.
I need it because it's again we talked about gas.
Yes, financial education, guys.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, like this is how it started, and so far it's going well.
That's good.
I haven't had any issues with anybody, and we'll see how it goes.
Awesome. Well, I'm so happy for your success, and I'm happy that
appreciate it.
It's going well, and I hope it really grows.
Me too.
Fast.
Is this actual wood or not?
I don't know, but this could be.
Yeah. So hopefully this continues growing. It becomes a thing, and because I want to get out of my workplace right now. Mm-hmm. So like it's a struggle because where I work at, for the people who already know, it's Home Depot, and it's physically demanding. We load like cement bags. Like yesterday it was like some guy ordered 25 bags and each bag weighs 80 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
It's a lot of work.
That's a whole human.
It's hard, and then pushing carts, listening to customers. Some people start complaining, and I'm like, oh.
Very physically demanding.
Yeah, and I'm getting to the point where like, can I keep doing this or not? Because like it takes a toll on your body. Because whenever whenever I get lunch with my coworkers, they're like, oh yeah, I had my back surgery, I had my hip surgery, and I'm like, is this really the place I want to stay at? Like, I'm not gonna make a career because some people do get comfortable with their job.
Yeah.
And I don't think you should, because especially there, because like, if this takes a toll on your body and you get comfortable and you keep doing it over again, you're gonna wear out your body.
Yeah, especially if you don't like it. I don't think you should stick it to it.
And Home Depot realizes that, because like if you look at their health insurance, like the major things they cover are like surgeries.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, obviously, because that's what they really gotta deal with. So I'm like, this is not a good sign. And there's some opportunities that are popping up. I'm meeting with my friend tomorrow, and I hope that goes well, because I want to get out.
Yeah.
So either I become a substitute teacher and make some money on the side and continue doing the podcast, or maybe the podcast becomes my main source of income. And who knows?
I mean, I've seen a lot of people.
Oh yeah, it's really popular now.
Incomes with podcasts.
And again, there's not many people here in the Valley doing this, so
exactly.
I gotta hurry up.
You got ownership.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the other important thing, because some companies want to buy like a percentage of your podcast, and then they take their own cut. I'm like, I'm keeping this independent.
That's good.
So yeah, I'm hoping it goes well, and I also want to make sure everything I do with this is like Valley made. So like I want to add music eventually, and I want to make sure I pay a Valley producer, whoever wants to do it, because I talked to a guy, but he's been kind of iffy. So I'm like, maybe he's a busy guy, so I'm like, maybe he can't do it. And then a big thing I want to do is I want to add performances towards the podcast.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Because like if I'm targeting people who haven't heard of you guys, what better way than not just promoting your Instagram and your Spotify, but also your performance, like seeing you sing.
Yeah.
And I was
that's cool. Like a Tiny Desk?
Yeah.
Have you seen Tiny Desk?
No, I haven't.
Oh, a Tiny Desk from NPR. They have people like perform. It's not an interview, but it's mostly just like performing.
Oh, like an acoustic thing? Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. Look it up.
So I want to do that starting pretty soon. And I was wondering maybe you would be interested to being the first person to do it.
Yeah,
because you do an acapella, so you don't need instruments.
Yeah, I don't really. Well, it'd be nice to have like a background.
Yeah, well, maybe you can like put something. Well, this will be towards the end of the podcast once we're done.
Of course.
But I want you maybe to be the first person because I want to start editing that as soon as possible, so people can see like, hey, this is their story. Mm-hmm. This is what they gone through. Now hear them perform. Oh,
that'd be cool. That's a cool thing.
Yeah.
You should do it. I think you should definitely do it.
I hope you can be the first one to do it.
Yes. I say yes. I will do it.
Thank you.
I'll do it for you.
And what about yourself? Like, since you're at this point already, what is your goals for like 5 years out from here? Because you said you're 24, so like in 5 years you'll be like 29, 30 more or less. What are your goals?
I still definitely want to keep doing financial education, but I don't want that to be like my main thing. Mm-hmm. For me, it would be more performing, whether it's like speaking or it's singing. Like, to be honest, like
you can do both, no?
That's why I plan to do both. And it's really cool because like from this whole educational piece, I come to find out, I don't think that I mentioned this yet, but with this whole financial educational thing, I didn't remember my goals in college were to be a speaker before, like motivational speaker. And then I got into this whole financial educational thing. And it turns out the people that are leading it are like professional speakers, like professional keynote speakers who make a ton of money speaking. And they come from, so the way that the lineage works, Bill Gove is the father of speaking, professional keynote speaking, like the people who are actually making money speaking. Steve Siebold, which is my mentor, my current mentor right now, him and his wife, he's the one that was an apprentice to Bill Gove.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they like, they're big time when it comes to the speaking world. And it's crazy to think that I'm being mentored by them. And I took the class and I did everything. And it's so crazy how like my life has come to this, because that was my goal back in 2017 to be a speaker, and then now here I am working with the top speakers. And it's honestly so crazy because I didn't expect it. I didn't know who they were, especially when I went to go visit them and to really see if this whole financial thing was for me. I didn't know who they were until a friend I made over there. She was like, "Do you know who you're talking to?" And I was like, No. Who am I talking to? It was like, look them up on Google. I was like, on Google, just Google. And she's like, yeah, just look them up. It should be the first one there. And I was like, so then I finally read who they are and what they do, and they're big, they're big time speakers. And it's so crazy that the world is pretty much like full circle, and I'm finally here. And then they asked me to relocate to them, to be with them, and like, you know, do this whole financial piece. But of course I really want to do the speaking piece, but like they asked me to move there to them. And it's just it's crazy that I even have this opportunity, that I'm even like, you know, talking to them, and I'm even like, they're helping me. They always ask me like, how can I help you? How can I, like, what do you need from us? And it's just like, my life is crazy.
Wow. Your life is absolutely wild. The fact that all of this, like from the TV show to this big time speakers, it's you have incredible luck.
I really do.
I don't want to downplay your hard work, but like to meet these people, I'm like,
I truly believe it's like, well, I do believe there's a God out there, so I do believe it's like divine intervention, because to me, I feel like this is just the way that I was supposed to go, because, you know, especially coming from somebody who like didn't talk, my whole goal was just to learn how to speak, and then now I go do it professionally, you know, like at the rate that they're doing it. I think that's just like, my whole life was supposed to be here, and then of course with singing too. So I think that's gonna be like my main duo is like speaking. Hopefully motivational speaking, and hopefully to the people, to really just help people with speaking, you know, because, you know, we were talking about that earlier. But hopefully speaking, and then of course singing, because I really like to, when I sing, I like to make people emotional. When I was in
trying to drag people to your level of emotional levels.
Yeah, pretty much. When I was in, I think it was still in high school, actually, we had a senior performance, and I was telling everybody, my goal is to make you cry. My goal is to make you cry. And they all did.
This is getting scary, because first you're a stalker, now you want to make people cry. I don't know.
No, but I do think like if you move people to music,
if you have that ability, that's amazing.
Yeah, to me, like that was like my whole goal is to make sure that I make you feel what I feel. And I feel like, just from past experiences, I do it pretty well in the song. Not just in general. Just like whatever I'm feeling in the song, I want you to feel it with me too.
No, yeah.
And that's how I feel like that's how
you're trying to share your emotions with people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's fun. I really like singing.
No, yeah. And from what I've seen here, like before, you're able to move people. Cause that's what, like when I was working with the camera here, like I stayed quiet because whenever I listen to music, whether it be like live or just performances, I try to stay quiet. And Paolo noticed this. Like I close my eyes because like I want to focus solely on hearing. And you have a really beautiful voice. Like
thank you.
Even without the backing track, when I was just listening, I'm like, oh shit, it's wild. Like
I appreciate it. Yeah.
And it's just crazy because like I mean, the more I think about like I've always been surrounded by musicians in my life. Like my friend, like how you went through the speaking phase. Like with me, I've always been surrounded by musicians. My best friend Lupe, musician, singer, rapper, whatever. Then my grandpa was also a guitarist, and
that's cool.
Like I have different people in the creative sphere, and it's wild.
It's fun. I think I really do like being around like musically inclined people because then I feel like when like projects, you put your whole heart into it, and it's
fun.
Crazy to see what comes out of just your thoughts in your head. Yeah.
And when you're singing, like you're putting out your emotions.
Yeah.
One question I do have is you and Derek have the same problem, and it gets me mad because I want to listen to your music. You haven't recorded anything. So same thing with Derek. He has not recorded any music. So I'm like, you don't have a Spotify, you don't have a SoundCloud, you don't have anything. When is that going to happen?
Well, if somebody wants to help me.
Wink, wink.
Well, to me, because like I've always sang, but I never tried to come up with my own thing. It's because I think I really do need help.
Yeah.
Like I'm not just saying that because I want somebody to help me, but I do think I need help because I can sing and I can help. Yeah, I do. I can sing. I could like help with like my vision and things, but as far as like doing it, producing
like the technical parts of it,
technical, and then also posting it, and then that's a lot of things that I don't know, and honestly, I don't know if I'd want to know. Like I'd rather just focus on like the music itself and like producing the music, but then I need people to help me build that vision. Yeah,
because you can't do everything on your own. Like some people try it, but it's a lot more work.
Yeah, I tried it too. I don't get me wrong. I tried it on my own. I bought my own mic. I got my own studio thing that I tried to set up in my closet, and I got the Logic Pro. I got everything that I needed to do, and then I sat down and tried to do it, and I was like, oh my gosh, because you need to start with the beat first. How am I gonna do that if I just sing? I don't even know how to work all the system stuff. And so like when Jake when Jake came by and he did all that stuff, I was like, oh my goodness, you're putting my vision like to life. Like it's so crazy to see how I'm just thinking things and then you're making it happen. Yeah. So
you're the visionary type rather than I share that same thing where I know what I want to do. Yeah. I know how to get there, but I need people to like do the work.
Help me do the work. Not do it for you, but like help me.
No, I want them to do it for me. I don't want to do shit. I just want to tell people, do this for me and do that for me. I mean, people like, it's like Steve Jobs. People think like he's like this creative master and everything, but like really what he was doing, like, I want my CD on a small gadget. Do it for me.
Figure it out.
Yeah. And I'll lay back.
Yeah. but yeah, I think, I mean, I do know that I have talent.
No, you do.
It's just I need help, and also like I'm very picky. That's my thing too. I need somebody outside of myself to tell myself it's okay, because sometimes it's okay like to
I'm telling you it's okay.
Oh, okay.
No, but like,
I hear it.
You've done it on Instagram though. Like I seen you post them when you're singing, and I mean that could be a start.
That takes me like forever.
How can
depending on what time of day it is. If I've talked a lot in the day, I could post it real quick and I'd be good. If I didn't talk a lot in the day, I'd have to warm up, sing it over and over and over to the point where I like it, and then from there I can
the pickiness
probably maybe post it.
Nah, you should just do it. That's the issue. Like I have that same issue where like you want it to be a certain way, and sometimes you can't. Like sometimes you just gotta do it.
Yeah,
that's the only way to do it in life. Like maybe the execution might not be perfect, but at least you're doing it. It's putting you forward. You're not just overthinking it, writing down stuff. Because I tend to do a lot of like research and strategy, but like it takes time to do that. Sometimes you just go for it.
Yeah, and I need to learn that too, because sometimes I'm scared of the jump.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's been working so far. We got the studio. Yeah. And I met you. And then I met Jake. I was telling Jake, he was like, hey, how did you like meet everybody? I was like, I literally just met you guys in the last 2 weeks. And then Mario came around and then like. Came out of nowhere.
And it just happens. Sometimes you just meet people and it works out. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it does. And
yeah. But it's crazy. It's crazy to see. And it's so funny too. Like, I don't know if you're like into like the whole manifesting thing. Well, I don't know if it's like manifesting or if it's just like divine intervention, something like that. But a lot of like this, something that I've noticed a lot of this week is people are like, oh yeah, I was thinking about you yesterday, and then here you pop up. And I'm like, okay. Like 2 people from 2 separate different situations told me that this week.
I didn't have that mentality, like that weird manifestation, but actually I did. But like, not the Twitter version where like, oh, if your horoscopes and the moon lines up and retro, not that, but like I had this curse, and I call it a curse because in high school and college, I would talk about people, I would mention them, and out of nowhere they would just pop out.
Isn't it crazy?
And I'm like, oh fuck. and it happened in college where I hope this person's not listening to this, but there was this friend that I don't talk with anymore. I was with another friend, a college mate, like, oh yeah, like I remember this guy from high school and we're talking about him, and out of nowhere, like in UTRGV, like he pops out of nowhere and he's there. I'm like, oh shit. Whoa. And I was laughing because that other friend of mine, he's also from high school. Yeah. And he knows that whenever I talk about someone, like they pop out of nowhere. Yeah. Like don't talk about him. Like what if he comes out? Like now, what are the chances he's gonna be here? Yeah. And then whoop. Yeah, we were eating lunch and like he just pops out like, oh hi guys, how are you guys doing? And I'm like, oh shit.
It's crazy. I think it's super cool. And so like to keep on the same note, like I saw this thing on TikTok the other day, and it was like you kind of have to be positively delusional, like that everything's gonna work out for you.
What do you mean by that?
Like so, for example, the TikTok that I saw, there's this guy who I don't know if you saw him, but he was stuck in a snowstorm, and he was his car broke down, everything. He was living in his car, he was stuck in a snowstorm. He was just like, you know what, I'm gonna go build a snowman and everything's gonna be okay. And so he starts building a snowman. He was like, everything's going to be okay. It's like in the middle of a snowstorm. Yeah. Everything's happening around him. And he starts building a snowman. And all of a sudden, this lady comes and she's like, oh, hey, here's a tent. Like, here's a tent. And here's like a hand warmer. And she was planning to have him like go with her to go to like a house or something like that. But he thought, okay, thank you for giving me this, like, not tent, like this.
The hand warmers or?
No. The one that you sleep on.
A bed?
No. It's not. It's a bed, but it's like for camping.
Oh, yeah. Those like inflatable beds, right? Or
no, not inflatable. No, the other one.
Sleeping bags?
Sleeping bags. Okay. I don't know why that didn't come to my head. So he gave her a sleeping bag, and he thought that he needed to make a tent out of the sleeping bag. So he didn't go with her. He made a tent out of the sleeping bag. He was like, everything's going to be okay. Everything is going to be fine. And so for him, he made a TikTok of that whole entire experience. From that whole entire experience, he made himself a TikTok career. Yeah. And from there, he was able to get himself a house, get out of his car, and like, you know, have a really good career from that because he was positively delusional.
Yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't be taking advice from the guy doing that. I would have just left with the girl or that lady. I would have left.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, that's what he did, and it turned out.
If it worked out for him, I mean, it works out, but...
But it's kind of cool.
It's crazy.
I don't 100%, but I think it's cool when those instances happen.
No, yeah, because when that happens, like you get that feeling, like you know what, whatever's God out there, and he's trying to help me do what I'm trying to do. Yeah, and it feels good.
It does. It really does.
So you still haven't answered the question though. What? When do you plan to release music?
Oh, I'm sorry.
we got off topic. Don't worry.
When somebody plans to help me, we can do it in probably like a month or two.
A month or two? Yeah.
If somebody helps me.
But here's another question. You tend to do a lot of covers. Do you have any original music?
I don't have any original music.
No? You haven't written anything?
Well, I have. I've tried. Mm-hmm. I have a lot in my voice notes. Yeah. Like lined up with different ideas and things I want to do. But again, I need help. Yeah. So
especially with your note taking. I read some of your notes. I'm like, she needs help organizing stuff.
Yeah. Well, because like I think like it makes sense to me. Yeah. You know, like I'll put whatever like words or whatever not. But then like if you ask me, and I'll tell you. I'll tell you what happens. But what happens in my brain. But yeah. Hopefully soon. Especially if we try to make music. Yeah. What's it called? Well, also I'm very like, it's hard. It's hard to make music like and like it too.
Yeah.
Because for me, like especially with that cover that we did, like I liked it. I think it's a great cover, but I think it could be better. So I don't want to release it until it's like.
I'll see if I can find anybody because I know people who make music.
Yeah.
So I'll see if I can talk with them. Maybe we can do a collaboration and
that'd be cool. That'd be
because
great.
if you need help with music, like I already know people who produce music, so
yeah,
it would be a matter of just getting them and you and all of us together
like
and
have
then,
the same vision and
yeah. Because I mean, I seen the creative differences you guys had. I'm like, okay, if we have more people, it's gonna be a little bit more harder, but it'll get the work done much easier.
Yeah, I know, but I think I work well. I worked well with Jake. He helped me bring whatever was thinking in my head because we were here. We started at 1, I think. We were here until like 8 or 9.
Oh shit!
In the evening. Yeah, no. Even after you left, like we were still here, like grinding it out because I was like, okay, this is a little too loud. This one needs to be redone. This one, and I was like, it was a lot of
the
hard
same
work.
thing happened with Paolo because I took off from here at 6.
Yeah.
I got to his place at 7. I should have been there in 30 minutes, but then traffic was bad.
Yeah.
I don't know what's wrong with the far area, but it was awful. So I got there at 7. We were just talking for a while, so like the setup was another hour, so we were there for till 8. Mm-hmm. Once it hit 8, then we're like recording the podcast.
Yeah.
We were there for like 2 hours talking, so it was like 10. And I'm like, oh shit, it's already 10.
It's crazy.
And then his mom was like, oh, I brought food if you guys want to eat. So I mean, his family's lovely, and we ate food, and we kept talking and hanging out. He was showing me his like unreleased music, which was really cool.
Sweet.
I didn't leave his house till like 1 or 2 in the morning.
You're kidding.
And then like to drive back from Edinburgh to my place like another 30 minutes.
Oh my god.
But it was beautiful because there was no traffic.
Oh,
the
so
expressway
you can just,
was
like, breeze through.
like if you wanted to, you could have walked around the expressway because there was not that many cars.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Oh, I love it.
So I mean, yeah, time flies really quick.
Yeah.
Like even right now, we're at the 1 hour and 40 minute mark.
You're kidding. It was just like 1 hour 10, like 14.
And I remember
2 seconds
for
ago.
the people who aren't aware, like we only had this place for what, from 1 to 3, right? Or it's almost gonna be 4 already. In 1 minute, it's 4. It's no one has come, so.
Don't tell anybody.
So time flies. So like when you're having fun and you're enjoying the moments, it goes really fast.
Good conversations.
Yeah, and I was thinking like, okay, it'll be 1 hour, 2 hours, so we'll be out. No.
Yeah, no, that's
and
okay.
And people have talked to me like, so how long do you want the podcast? That guy who mentioned me, he was asking me like, how long do I want it? I'm like, I don't choose the time. I let the discussion flow, and whenever it feels like time to wrap it up, you wrap it up. Mm-hmm. If you feel like there's still more stuff to cover, then you just keep talking.
Yeah, and then you can always like chop and choose.
Yeah, like if anything happens, best, like if there's like mishaps, like that happened a lot with Derek. Like his dog got released and he was like running around, almost knocked over my camera. It jumped on me. I'm like, it was a cute dog, but I had so much energy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, we need to like put this away. It was fun. So the last question I will ask you, since we're almost reaching time.
Okay.
What was your favorite part of the interview?
Ooh, that's a good one. My favorite part of the interview, honestly, it was like the unplanned conversations. Mm-hmm. You know, like everything that kind of happened in between. Because I think when it goes that deep, you know more about it, somebody. And you talk about topics and things that you wouldn't have thought to talk about.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's probably like the best one too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but honestly, like just in general, I really did enjoy. I think you had great questions.
Yeah.
And I think it dove a little bit deeper into my head than I thought it was going to be.
I get that a lot.
But I think it's a good thing because you really, when you do that, you get to know a person for who they are.
Yeah, I'm really trying to understand you. I'm not just because like in other people, they have written down questions like, okay, this question and then this question. And I don't like that. Yeah. It's scary because it adds more pressure on me to be asking you good questions. But I think the more like I do this, like the more I'll be like used to this. Flowy. Yeah, because like for whoever's seen this on the video part, there's no questions. Like whenever I'm looking at this, I'm just making sure the audio levels are okay. They're not peaking. Mm-hmm. Anything else, like it's just our conversation. Yeah.
And it's really cool. It's really fun.
Yeah, I love it. So guys, thank you for watching. I don't know when I'm posting this because I'm trying to make it 1 episode per week. But if I have to, maybe 2 episodes per week because people are being positive with the response. People are trying to reach out to me. So I'll see what I can do. And well, thank you for watching.
Thank you.
So now we have arrived at the second part of the interview where I allow Nicole to do her performance. Take me to
pretentiously like you do. If you need me, wanna see me, you better hurry, 'cause I'm bleeding too. Sorry, can't save me now. Sorry, I don't know how. Sorry, there's no way out. But down.
So you guys can see a glimpse of what Nicole's able to do. She's a very talented singer. And where can people find you at?
So you can find me either for my financial stuff on TikTok or Instagram. I'm going to be posting more on TikTok on Educate and Act. Educate and Act. And if you want to just follow me, I'm going to be posting more singing stuff on my personal Instagram, which is going to be Diane Nicole, DIANNEENICOLE, and that'll be on Instagram.
I'll make sure to put it on the video, and it'll be easier for people to find you. So I appreciate you for doing this. I know it's a lot of work. I'm still learning from this experience, so I can know what to do with other performers later on, but I appreciate all of this. Honestly,
yes,
from the bottom of my heart, I mean it.
Thank you.
Right, thank you. Time. So I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see what happens with the next podcast.